The silly season is about to begin, and some clubs are having a laugh out there. Champions League game tomorrow, the finals tomorrow. Our teams have done fantastic this year, and we'll discuss after this. Oh, by the way, Joe's back.
This is Emmanuel Zambazis, and you're listening to the Futbol Weekly Podcast.
Joe, it's been... Actually, you know what, Joe? Before we even start, you got to let the people know where you've been. I can't keep answering for you, Joe. Where you been, man?
Well, I went away for a while. No, just busy doing some stuff with obviously Vaughan Soccer Club. A little bit of a bigger role with them now in terms of having to be on field and stuff, and doing some stuff behind the scenes, which hope to announce soon. Maybe we'll talk about that on our show. But yeah, it's just good to be back. It's good to be back to talking footy with Reggie. People have been asking where I've been and what's going on, and thankfully Reggie has been holding down the fort with giving you guys some content, and hopefully we can get back into the swing to get us ready for the Champions League final.
Well, we have it's not going to be like people think, Joe. I'm guaranteeing you that. We have Manchester City versus Inter tomorrow. People that I've been talking to are thinking it's going to be a slaughter. And I say not so fast.
I agree. First of all, it's kind of, I don't know what it is, funny or so both teams, so my traditional rival is a Milan fan to have Inter going. Reggie's having his team that the season rival that took the title away from Arsenal. We'll talk about that. But so I don't know, who do we want to win here? So I agree. I don't think it's going to be, listen, it could end up a certain way, but I don't think it's as easy as everyone's saying. Just say it's going to be a city slaughter, of Inter. It's one game. I know many people have said this as well. I know, Reggie, you feel the same. It's one game. If it's a two-game, two legs, different. I think you put your money on Man City, a lot of it. You still might put a lot of your money on Man City now, but it's one game. And the pressures of finals, as we've seen before, can do a lot of things to players. And if, let's all agree here, even with the people who are listening and watching, the pressure is squarely upon Pep Guardiola and Man City at all. I don't think there's any pressure on Inter. In my opinion, no pressure on Inter.
I don't think there's any pressure on Inter. They're an afterthought in this game. I think from what I'm hearing at most, outlets, they're an afterthought. I'm hearing 4 or 5. We're going to be over by halftime, and it's not going to be like that. Again, Pep has brought the pressure on himself. I mean, maybe not on purpose, but it's just the success and the team that he's built. They have to win. They're the better team, right? So they have to win.
But again, he has brought it on himself, Reg. I think he has brought it on himself.
Yeah, of course.
Based on going and saying and telling your management, whoever you might be, and again, in the Premier League, we do know, as I'm learning now, I'll have to get to that later, how much the manager has the effect on, or the influence on, the transfer window. And I mean, you went out and got the most coveted player in the transfer window, other than Kylian Mbappe, who stayed where he was in Erling Haaland. So, and you already had, tons of stars. You have all the players at your disposal, and maybe he's embracing the pressure too. Sure, but he's definitely feeling it. I mean, he could say all he wants about, at 0. I read something today at 0-0. Italian teams are comfortable. Maybe 10 years ago, I think he's trying to play some mind games. Akin to someone else like Jose Mourinho. The pressure's on you, Pep, and that's what it is. Your team was built to win, as you said before, Reg. They won the Premier League with other teams. They're there to win the Champions League, and this team, this is their best shot. And you don't know, you can't count on coming back, as we know. We always say that. So the pressure is squarely on City. And look, weird things happen in finals. We remember what happened with Kevin De Bruyne, getting hurt in the final. Anything can happen. It's one game. So
Yeah, most definitely, and it's not a bunch of scrubs on Inter's side too. Lautaro Martinez is firing.
Right.
Lukaku's going to be a handful. Brozovic,
Jacko.
Dzeko, Barella. I mean, it's not going to be a pushover. They're not going to give the space that Real Madrid gave them. Real Madrid came out and wanted to play, wanted to prove we're the defending champions. You have to beat us. So they played their game. Maybe that was a mistake by Ancelotti, but I mean, they went in there to play. You're not going to get that same style of play from Inter Milan. I guarantee you that.
I think the teams playing, like I've been watching Inter all year, and they're playing their best soccer right now. They're playing their best, like
Right.
and literally like their style of play. Everybody will always speak to City's style of play. I get it, and they deserve that, sure. But Inter's actually playing some really good stuff in terms of what we call European ball. So this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. And again, the dog with no pressure here is Inter, and they're a good football team too. So it's time for those guys like De Bruyne. Reggie always talks about it with Belgium, and not showing up when it counts. Has he shown up when it counts in the Premier League? Of course. I think if you ask Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, you've read the comments, right? We've all seen him. He knows this is it. Like, he's got to win this. They have to win the Champions League. So I don't know. What do you see? So what do you see happening? What's your score? Like, what's your score prediction? I mean,
You're gonna think I'm you might think I'm crazy for this, Joe, but I think this goes to PKs.
I don't think that's crazy at all.
I think it goes to PKs. If Manchester City scores 2, I think it might be finished in 90. But if they only score 1, I can see Inter scoring. I can see Inter scoring. If they score 1, I think Inter can come back, and this goes to PKs.
I think that's such a good point, because what's Pep's, when he plays, if they know they'll get 1, it's can they get the 2?
Right.
And that's a very good point, my friend. If they get 2, and you say, well, obviously no. Well, a lot of teams will not play that way. Pep's going to play for 2. He's going to play. He is going to play. We know that they're not going to, unless does Pep do what he's done in recent finals, where he's drawn criticism, where he tries to go outside of who he is.
He better not. If I see Phil Foden in a false 9, I don't know if they win that. But
right. Well, I think that's the one thing we won't see, because he went out and got the most coveted number 9.
Oh yeah,
that was available. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what we saw was different this year. We saw it. Listen, we get it. They've adapted. Reggie will tell you. I'll speak for Reggie. He should be able to adapt, because he's got every piece he got every chess piece in the arsenal. Oh, you see what I did there? I didn't even mean that, I swear. But nice. Anyhow, he has everything available to him, so he should do that. Our argument is always, and we kid around, but he says that he has it, and he has to do it. Again, the pressure thing. These are not bad players on Inter Milan. Player for player, are they the players City has? Of course not. Reggie will tell you, well, who does have those players? So no one has them. Even Real Madrid does not have thing. We always go to those shots to the bench and who's on that bench. And again, over 2 games, that bench really matters. In 1 game, it matters, but where's the time? So,
yeah. So I gave my prediction.
Yeah, what's mine?
What's yours? 2-2.
I always do this. I'm going 3-1 City.
Oh, wow.
But if I woke up after the game and I fell asleep and saw that Inter won, I would not be surprised. Something is telling me that Inter will win tomorrow.
Well, for the sake of the MCL, you better hope Inter doesn't win. And our over 40 team, you better hope Inter doesn't win, because we'll never hear the end of it from one of our players.
Yeah, we won't. But things are just lining up, and that pressure thing.
I think so too. But
and you said it, Lautaro Martinez is playing some kind of football. I mean,
it's right.
This is what we didn't see with Lautaro in the World Cup, right? But we knew that Lautaro is can do this, and it's funny because he could do. If you look at Julian Alvarez on the other side, they're very similar. Aren't they, Reg? They can play a 9 role, but play a little bit more in a 10 or an attacking role.
That's right. You lie deeper.
Yeah, I mean, we joke with one of our listeners here, who's part of our MCL in the mornings too. On Sundays. about, well, they're Argentinian. They have 10s everywhere. Everyone's a 10 in Argentina. So you could tell. So that's very, very similar. But he is playing at a tremendous, tremendous clip right now. Lautaro, Reggie mentioned him already. The combination of whoever they start, for me, so who they going to start, Lautaro or Dzeko or Lukaku. I think it's brilliant to have Lukaku come off the bench.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, for sure. I don't think you're going to need speed to beat that Man City defense, the two center backs. I think they're going to have a problem with guys that are more physical, the bigger guys, the Giroux, the Lukakus, the Dzeko, those type of players. They have more problems with that. They're going to have problems.
Is Kyle Walker fit for this game, Reggie? I agree with that. Is Kyle Walker fit?
I believe so. I don't see why he wouldn't be.
I read something where he might not be, but he'll be key. Watch the wide areas. DeMarco has been. We know Dumfries. Dumfries, I rate Dumfries a lot. Good player. DeMarco has been a fantastic player for Inter in a wide area. Basically took over for Perisic and didn't see him beat. So I know Simone Inzaghi has been in for a lot of criticism, but they're calling him the final specialist. He's winning now, not European finals, but Coppa Italia finals and Super Cups and Europeans. But his brand of football is a good one too. And again, I think we'll say this for the umpteenth time on our show today. The pressure thing is massive. So we'll see. Again, an amazing performer for Inter this year, who might be the best goalkeeper in the Champions League this year. And look, I'm saying that, and I had Mike Maignan, who I rate so high, and other, Oblak and so on. But, the ones who went pretty far, Onana's a really good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So, well, and listen, Reggie's saying it could go to pens. It could go to pens. And
I think so. I mean, if I don't see two from City, I know Inter has an opportunity to get one. It's just, even if City do get two, does their head go down as an Inter player thinking it's over? And with the squad that they have and the ability of the players that they have to bring off the bench, and talking about Man City, to finally kill off the game, I don't know. But if they only score one, I can see Inter scoring. I can see Inter scoring and playing a defensive game until it gets to 120 minutes. So who knows?
Reggie, I think the last time we had a major final, it was the World Cup final. And wow, we were just blown away. The world was blown away on the magnitude of the excitement of that game. I'm not expecting that, but wouldn't it be great to have a game where it's a bit more open and just like that game was an incredible matchup.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that open. I think Inter's going to play a defensive game. They're going to play more defensive, try to hit them on the break, I think, a little bit more, but they're going to stay compact and they're going to be organized. So you can only hope for a game like that. But if the game it plays out like that, I think City scores 4 or 5.
I think part of this has been Pep Guardiola knows what he's doing here by saying, he's almost like he's, trying to lure Inzaghi, because he knows Inzaghi's style is not exactly Allegri ball, bunker in, traditional old Italian football. So I think he might be trying to say, oh yeah, I'll show you, we can play. And again, it's little shades of, Euro 2012 final, where Italy was coming in playing well, but you had Spain, who were Spain at the time.
Yeah.
And Italy tried to play a little bit, and Spain just carved them apart. Right. It was just a beatdown, because if you step out of who this could get out of control, because City is a different animal, different beast. And like you said, what they did at Real Madrid, those 30 minutes in the second leg against Real Madrid were something like I've never seen before. They were doing that to Real Madrid, and it was devastating, right? The pressing and so on. Again, like you said, this is Real Madrid, and then they made world-class players look a certain
ordinary. Looked ordinary.
But as you said, one game.
Anything can happen in one game. So
I mean, I know it's a tough one, but as a AC Milan fan, but this is. I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think. And like I said, if I woke up and found out that Inter won, I wouldn't be shocked, because they are playing some tremendous things. So here's I'll put my non-biased hat on here. They deserve a lot of credit. They've been playing really well in the last 2 months in Serie A and the Champions League. they've done the job and they've done the business. So, like we always refer to, we'll see what the match will come out as tomorrow and what the result will be. But I'm going to stick with 3-1 City, and then I'm sure I'll be wrong, but that's what I'm going to stick with.
Okay, well, we'll remember that we'll do another show after the recap. We'll also probably talk about, I want to get your opinion on what happened with Juve. Actually given a chance to make Champions League and blew it against Empoli. But I want to get your take on what happened there. I still don't understand what happened. I think I mentioned it in a previous show. Yeah. I don't get it. How you give I know you appeal it, you get the points back, and then you get punished again, and it's 5 points less. I don't understand.
The appeal process. So again, what was done, we know with overvaluing certain transfers, whatever the case may be in terms of what they did wrong. I think Reggie is speaking to how can we keep going back? And again, like you might say, well, my team benefited. So well, no, because it doesn't make sense. It's you have a 15-point penalty, then there's an appeal. Like Reggie said, they get the points back. Then they're taken away again, and this time it's 5 points less.
Yeah.
And moreover, taken away. The team was informed. Imagine you're going from the team hotel or wherever you're from, and you're going to the stadium. You have those 15 points. You go warm up. You go back into the dressing room and find out the points are gone. It's a circus sideshow in Italy. It just speaks to what's going on with Serie A, what's going on with the federation. In a year where they're supposed to be, taking a step forward with 3 teams in European finals. I mean, the Conference League.
That's right.
But anyway,
that's right.
But if you're in Inter Milan and Roma,
Roma,
supposed to be saying, okay, teams are doing things a little bit better, and you have this. I mean, again, I'm taking away my hat of this benefited the club I support. It's stupid. It's really stupid. If you're an outsider looking at the league, you're going, what the hell's going on there?
Well, that's exactly it, Joe. I'm looking at it and saying, well, I don't understand. And I think it was only 10 points because if if Juve won all their games, they would have made Champions League. If they gave them the 15 points at that time, they wouldn't. It didn't. Even if they won all their games, they wouldn't have made it. But they gave them the opportunity. They needed 9 points, I think, out of the 10 to make Champions League, and then they lost to Empoli, and it was over. But the second punishment was just enough that they still could make Champions League, which kind of, again, if you're a fan of a league looking at that, you're just like, what's going on?
Right. It looks, well, let's call it what it is. It looks second rate. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like what is going on in the Serie A, right? That's exactly what it looks like to a fan who's just, trying to figure out the table, going, what? They lost points again, and then how? And so many times during the season, it just speaks to the nonsense that's happening.
Yeah.
Like we can say all we want about the Premier League, and we say that certain things have to be this way, but they do things properly. Things are done professionally, for the most part. Whereas in Serie A, it seems like they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah,
is the point. If there's a penalty, stick with it. It's been done, or revisit it at the end of the year. Maybe they get sanctioned the following year. I don't know.
Maybe something.
It's just like in the Olympics where the races run. And then, okay, if you finish third, and they just bump everybody a spot. I'm not
That's
sure.
Right. That's right.
It just speaks to what frustrates me. It's what frustrates me about a league that, unfortunately I follow regardless. I'm going to follow that one the most. I'm just tied to it the most. But when these kind of things happen, it's a very hard sell to new fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest bother to me. So at the end of the day, Reggie, they did finish out. And it looks like even UEFA now will look into their own sanctioning. But again, Juventus is going through major things. Speaking of, we talked about silly season. I just read something. I don't know how valid it is. I know you're probably reading it, but Juve, one of Juve's star men, which they have a lot, but Federico Chiesa,
to where
possibly a $60 million move to Arsenal.
$60 million is a bargain.
Those are the reports that we're hearing. It's Newcastle and Arsenal who are in the mix, and the player prefers Arsenal.
Of course, he won't go to. Listen, it's not just, of course, Arsenal because I'm an Arsenal fan.
No, but when you compare the two,
it's where you live. Where are you going to live? You're going to live in Newcastle, or you want to live in London?
And with all due respect, I mean, listen, Newcastle is one of the best supported clubs.
Of course,
And I
Of
know that,
course.
and Logan will tell us that, and so on. He's, what are you guys crazy? Yes, but the history of a club like Arsenal and what you have, like you said, being in London, and this new project that's really taken off. And I mean, it's
nobody books a holiday in Newcastle.
but doesn't Chiesa just, we've been saying this, doesn't he just fits playing the Premier League, where it's at high speed, it's going at people, him in a wide area, coming in, I don't think, man, if he had a quarter of the career of this guy, but you think of Thierry Henry, who started off as a wide player, comes in and plays at striker, and had very similar attributes where he's so good in a wide area and getting at people. But that speaks to what has happened at Juventus. It's such a sad state of affairs because Chiesa was built for that moment and that group, and now obviously they're looking to offload assets, even Vlahovic, as we've heard, but
take him too.
Yeah, he was obviously more rumored, but I just read it today, and again, it's a pretty reputable source. But like Reggie started with this is beyond silly season.
It's crazy out there.
I guess, Reg, I want to get to what your thoughts on Arsenal's following every week. And I was like, but it gets even crazier when Paolo Maldini and Ricky Massara get fired this week on my club. So it's why I can't have nice things.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, 3 days ago, Jerry Cardinale of Redbird American Ownership Group has a meeting with Paolo Maldini, and he was fired.
No, you're joking me. Yeah. I did not hear that.
Yeah, so this is,
you're joking me.
I really wish I was. So apparently,
Club legend Paolo Maldini, or there's another one. There's another guy there named Paolo Maldini.
I wish, my friend. So Paolo Maldini, and again, the transfer market guru and scout has helped a lot. Ricky Massara are gone. And, Jeffrey Moncada is still there.
What is going on?
And so, again, when we speak to this, and there's different rules of thought. There's different schools of thought. But let's look at it again from the outside. Players want to come to AC Milan. If Paolo Maldini's there, that's what it is. It's alluring. It's part of the mystique of it. And then you look at players like Teo Hernandez, especially. But, Mike Magnan, Rafael Leao. They're obviously, they're not, they're in a spot right now. They're all posting stuff in support of him. So I get it. I get that, it's not about one person, but this is pretty massive. And fans around the world, AC Milan, are in a deep, dark spot right now. And I can easily say I'm one of them. So,
you don't sack that guy, Joe. You find a way to slowly, maybe if you want to move him out quietly, put him in a different role, and then, but you don't come out and sack that guy. At AC Milan, you don't do that at AC Milan.
Yes, and Reggie, it gets even more convoluted. Apparently, Paolo Maldini wanted to get rid of Pioli.
Okay.
We're hearing, and he didn't want Pioli. There was strained in the relationship they're talking about. And apparently, so many rumors. Apparently, Paolo Maldini wanted to replace him with Andrea Pirlo as coach. Who knows if all this is true? What we do know is that the relationship was strained between the two. And now, that's why I mentioned earlier in our pod today, that the idea is that, again, I don't know if I agree with this, is to give Pioli more control of the transfer market. And they're calling it more like an English Premier League style type. And so fans around the world, especially AC Milan fans, yes, they're coming out and they're speaking their voice about this. People like Carlo Ancelotti, Kaká.
I saw Kaká, yeah.
Saying, how do you do this? So you're telling me. So to say that I have hope, I'm negative on the best of days, Reg. You could tell. You could only think
that one I would be upset about. I'd be pissed off about.
Right, Reggie. So
he's done magic he's done magic for your club with nothing. He was able to build a team to win the Scudetto last season. Finished in Champions League this season. I'll do with what happened to Juventus, but they still played a nice brand of football to get there. They would have been in Europe. A European competition regardless. And he's a club legend. I don't understand that, Joel.
Yeah, and people are
That's
trying to
shocking.
justify it. Yeah, and like I'm talking about the small percentage of people trying to say, well, it's business, and we can still go on. The point is this: the players there, the morale is to me, it's damaged, right? It's
Yeah,
damaged. Like this is
gotta be.
Paulo Maldini, one of the
Gotta be.
greatest players, well, easily AC Milan's greatest player. Like let's be honest, So we all know that, and I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't know how you bounce back from this with this cycle, right, Reggie? With this cycle, I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I don't know how even players are going to want to come there now without him. And what about this? If you're Teo Hernandez, who openly said, "This is why I came here,"
Yeah.
someone
When
can
it's
call him. You got to think.
when he has the opportunity to jet, he's gone.
Yeah, I could see him being bought again by Real Madrid, Reggie. Maybe Bayern Munich if Fonzie, our
PSG or
Canadian,
something.
or Alfonso Davies goes to Real Madrid, maybe it goes that way. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah. So that's my misery and my grief, Reggie. Let's look at this as an overall snapshot for Arsenal, and there again, when you look at it in the big picture. All I read was, and I joked too, it was a bottle job. I don't believe that's a bottle job because of who was in front of Arsenal. I want to make that very clear. And everyone says, well, if you would have took second place. And then, I know that you guys as fans, and you never said this, took a ribbing on social media. Say, guys, I mean, look, to be excited about that run that Arsenal had is understandable. The only team that beat out Arsenal was arguably the best club team in the world.
And it's not like, and I keep telling this to people all the time who tell me this and tell me that. If Arsenal were in second place by 13, 15, 20 points, gulf is massive between first and second. Okay, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the best club, everyone claims Manchester City is the best team in the world right now. And the youngest team in the EPL finished 5 points behind them and had an 8-point lead on them at one point. If you were to tell me at the beginning of the season, Arsenal is going to finish second place, 5 points behind Manchester City, I would have ripped your arm off. I would have put it on the barbecue and I would have eaten it. No problem. Give me that.
Yeah.
And here we are, and people are saying, oh, you blew it.
Bottle job. They're calling it bottle job.
Blew what? What did we blow?
And this is what I'm saying. Like, you cannot. It's impossible to look at things that way. It's so easy because it makes great fodder for the news. Like sound bites, and someone says this on, Gary Neville was right. Gary Neville said that Manchester City is not dead in a title race with the greatest roster assembled.
He's a genius.
Like, I don't get that. Like,
genius.
Again, people just say, but that's Arsenal now. No, that's Arsenal in this year where they're building toward. It's just like my team, AC Milan. I told you last year, Reggie. Wow, really finished ahead of schedule. Really, it was a surprise that they got there so fast. They'll probably come down to earth this year. And Reggie, they were battling for a Champions League spot. So you have to look at things based on the roster and based on the project.
That's right.
And everyone's like, Arteta has so much. Guys, he did not have. Does he have a lot of resources? Yes. Does he have more than Manchester City? No. So again, a lot of resources, of course, but City is playing with the biggest, fastest vehicle in the race.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're not out of it. You can never be out of it.
I look at it.
Liverpool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Years, right, Reggie?
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
Amazing run.
Yeah.
Battling City.
Yeah.
Is Liverpool, if we start the Premier League today, are we counting out that team on Merseyside? You're crazy. And now without Champions League, you're insane.
Yeah. So it's just like when Chelsea rebuilt without the European, right? So, I mean, they rebuilt without European football that one year, and they came back the next year and just destroyed everybody. So, I mean, for a coach like Jurgen Klopp, just have to focus on the EPL and an FA Cup game every 4 months and a Carabao Cup game every 4 months as well. And if they get the rebuild right, I know they just bought Alexis McAllister this week. So if they get the rebuild right again with what they have up front, it's going to be much harder for Arsenal to maintain next year, and even City and even Chelsea, and I don't know where Tottenham's going, but I mean Brighton's going to be better next year as well, even though they're going to lose some players. The way that their scouting works, they're going to be able to find players. I mean, it's going to be tough next season, but again, I tell everybody, if you look at the project Arsenal has been involved in, eighth the first year Arteta was there, eighth again the second year, fifth and second in the fourth year. I mean, how can you not be looking forward to every other season coming forward now? I don't know.
Yeah, and with players that are now realistically wanting to go there.
That's right.
Be part of something like we talked about Chiesa, but like Caicedo, right? It's on, it's off. Like that'd be a big one for them, right? So the point is that this is the most competitive league in the world, and it's like to take a quote from the NBA. So if you don't win it, is it a complete fail? Like this is nonsense to me. Always has been, and so the fact that Arsenal is attracting players. Let's not forget, without Gabriel Jesus for a long period of time,
without Saliba for the last 8 games of the season, I don't know how many teams can have 3 starters out of their starting lineup and still maintain that don't have that don't have a bench like a Man City. Or a PSG or a Real Madrid. Our bench isn't like that. Saliba goes down, it's Rob Holding coming in. You know what I mean? So
when you compare it to what Reggie, there is a phone's ringing, Reggie. It must be an important phone call.
It's got Friday night important phone call.
Yeah, and I got 1 second, guys. So this is live stuff here. If you
Yeah, so I think that, even with Champions, the Champions League thing is the big thing. If you're a second place team in an EPL side and you have Champions League, it makes it even more, and just the culture around the club. The women's team selling out the Emirates for games, the kit launch. The kits are beautiful.
Yeah,
everything. It's just you're in London.
The Champions League is different, right? And
it's different.
And you're going to want to be there. So
that's right.
I don't buy all this. Again, Reggie, it's fandom stuff. I get it. I get caught up in it too. But at the end of the day, not everybody can be at the top of the heap. And if you're in the mix in the Premier League, look at Chelsea. We'll move on. Chelsea, it's unbelievable. 14th place with all that spent. So,
and I guarantee you, Pochettino comes in there and cuts 8 or 9 of them because he's already got rid of João Felix. So
there you go. And they have a lot to get rid of because they have
a ton. They have a ton to get rid of, and they have more coming in. I think Christian Nkunku from Red Bull is coming in. Yes. They bought him a while back, and he's coming in this season. So the logjam at striker is crazy. So they're gonna have to get rid of guys. But again, it's not my issue. So we'll move on.
What about is Christopher Nkunku coming in? Is that as big as Messi going to Inter Miami?
Joe,
wow.
I don't know. I think I've been out of the loop. I didn't hear about the Paolo Maldini thing. I didn't hear about that. And then I think I found out like a couple of days after Messi signed in the MLS.
And part of his deal, Reggie, is getting
crazy
revenue from Apple TV. Like
that's right.
This is insane. So
you gotta be able to match what Saudi was offering, right? So
wow, this is incredible. I mean, news to our show, close to us. We're wearing our stuff here.
Yeah,
that means Kamal Miller.
Oh my God, he's gonna play. He's gonna play with Messi.
And Lionel Messi.
Oh my goodness!
Who knew? It's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, football is incredible. Like we're rushing here. We're doing our show here. I'm actually going to be heading on the field in about half an hour, and this is what we were doing with Kamal, like maybe 6-7 years ago. And like, how do you tell these kids, hey, one day you might play with? You never know who you might play with. So it's pretty amazing. So
might play with Nani. Right? Yeah. You might play with Messi. Yeah, okay.
You don't know. So yeah. So again, I mean, we could do a whole hour on this. We will. We'll do something after we wrap up Champions League, right, Reggie? Yeah. And silly season is fun season. I'm going to give you some of my fun little silly season stuff. I can't believe we're glossing over Inter Miami signing Messi. Unbelievable. We're going to do a whole thing on it, right, Reg? We will.
Yeah, for sure. We have to. It's too bad we played them already, right?
Yeah, yes. What about stuff like Ange Popescu going to, or sorry, is that you? And
Yeah, it's to Tottenham, right?
Yeah, I messed up his name. You're gonna snap.
Don't worry about it. He won't last long there, Joe. Don't worry about it. He won't last long.
Now take away that part. Wait a minute, I got one for you. Don't you worry. Okay, so he's going from Celtic to Reggie's biggest rival, Spurs.
United? Oh no, Spurs.
Yeah. But what about if maybe, possibly, a guy like Alistair Johnston were to get some love and maybe interest from Tottenham Hotspur? Like, just again, that Canadian angle. This is where we're at. Incredible. Now, is it as interesting as Reggie's favorite English midfielder possibly landing at Arsenal?
Who's that? Right. Oh, yeah. Joe, I don't know if you pay $100 million for a defensive midfielder that's not named Makaleli. So I don't know. How do you
feel about that one?
Again, it's not my money. I understand. But now we're at the point now where certain clubs, and believe it or not, I'm not talking about Man City ruining football. I'm talking about clubs before them, like Chelsea, who would overpay players that weren't worth what the price tag is. If Declan Rice is Spanish, he's not $100 million. 40 maybe, 45, 50 at top. Yeah, but the English tax on players is just ridiculous. I don't know how you get a defensive midfielder for $100 million. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I just
thought reading that going Reggie with Declan Rice is just like, this is amazing stuff. Never mind Messi going to Inter Miami, but we are going to talk more about this stuff, and we'll talk. Reggie, we'll do an after, like all kidding aside, we'll do something early next week. Post Champions League, and we'll go through all this. And we will talk about Inter Miami and another 3 letters things, TFC, and what's going on there.
It's tire fire, Joe.
Yeah,
tire fire. Holy smokes! Tire fire FC. Yeah, tire fire FC.
So we will. I know this is like this was us to get me back in the mix here. We want to talk about. We will wrap up the Champions League final. We hope we have a lot to talk about. And then Reggie's favorite season to talk about, a silly season. And, of course, we'll do the whole thing on Inter Miami with Lionel Messi and what's going on in the Saudi League. And they're signing everybody and so on. So the world is changing in the world of football. We will talk all about that. Reg, anything you want to you're looking forward to other than the obvious? I mean, I know who you want to win in that game.
Well, no, I mean, I can't have City winning the Champions League. I can't have that in my life, my soccer life. So we'll hope that the fraud is found out. But I'm waiting.
That's what they need me to talk about. Yeah, that's what they want me to talk about. Everyone wants me to get at you for a repetitive. So we're going to do that. We'll do that next week too. And guess what?
I haven't said anything controversial. I've only given you facts.
Yeah, and this is why we have to wait till next week, because this is what's happening, right? If City were to win, it'll go one way. And if City were to lose, Reggie will be locked and loaded, ready to roll. So that's why we're going to wait for next week. It's going to be a post Champions League wrap up. Guys, look at what Reggie's done with just a look at this. It's amazing. Love it, Reggie. Looks awesome, by the way. It's always improving our stuff. So thank you, Reggie, for that.
Trying.
I just taken over because you've been so busy doing all the work for us, holding us down. But Reggie's got all the platforms to follow, and we got TikTok too, and so on. You can always go see Max at Soccer Max to get your gear and stuff. But Reggie, I like what you've done. So it looks good.
Hey, always trying. If you're standing still, you're losing. So you got to keep it looking fresh. I'm very interested into the rumors and stuff. So when those start hitting and getting down, we'll definitely talk about that stuff for sure. I'm just blown away by this Paolo Maldini. I can't actually believe it. After the show, I'm going to start reading about it because Joe, it's not something you do to that guy at that club. He wants to
And
go to
Reggie,
Juve and get fired or Inter and get fired, no problem. But you
well,
don't fire him from AC. That's ridiculous.
and I have a hot take, Reggie. I just don't see it. I think him and Massaro will resurface. Maybe not the Premier League, but who knows? But I'm seeing like something like PSG. You never know. We'll see. That's just my take. I don't think that they're done. Yeah, I don't think he wants to go down like that either. But yeah, my smile today is very, very contrived because I'm very sad the last 3 days about football and my idol and obviously, you know, what he means to my club. But tomorrow's a new day and tomorrow's Champions League day. So
we'll get I have a couple of things to do in the morning, hopefully get them done, and we can get watching this game, and then we'll have a reaction show next week about what we saw tomorrow. So I know, Joe, you got to get going. You got to get onto the field. We'll end off the show like that, guys. If you're not, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, subscribe on YouTube. We're still on every podcast platform as far as Stitcher, TuneIn, Player FM, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. We're on every platform you use to download podcasts. We're on TikTok now. Subscribe, follow, put stuff up daily. Just, supporting us. It's free. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. Grows the channel. You'll get more shows like this. So, guys, it's Friday night. Can't wait for tomorrow. We'll catch you next week.